Hey y'all, Doom the Dark Ages was one of my favorite games of 2025, which was an already amazing year for gaming. While it wasn't a perfect game, I think it had easily the best combat of the modern Doom trilogy, being the perfect middle ground between the fast-paced Eternal combat and slower-paced 2016 combat. The shield and parry mechanic in particular was just such a great idea in my opinion, as it incentivized players to actually stand their ground against these huge demons rather than constantly being on the move like Doom Eternal. The Dark Ages had the best combat in a Doom game yet, which made me love it. I seem to be in the minority, however, as many Doom fans do not seem to love it as much as I do. Many seem to not like the slower and less involved approach to combat compared to Doom Eternal, which is seen by many as the best Doom game. Eternal essentially created the modern boomer shooter genre, expanding upon what was already done in 2016 by turning it into a fast-paced game of chess. Every single weapon was good against a certain enemy, every enemy had their own weak spots, and every resource had their own way to be obtained. The Dark Ages does indeed take a step back from this type of combat, instead trying to take what was learned from Eternal and create something more similar to 2016. I think it did a great job at feeling fresh for the series as well as fun, but not everyone agrees. The backlash to the Dark Ages' slower parry-based combat was so strong that it seems like its DLC, Revelations, makes it a goal to fix that, and I think it does. Revelations successfully gives players an option to play the Dark Ages more like Eternal, while still retaining what made its combat so great in the first place. In this video, I'll be talking about the Chain Spear, levels, and story. Quick note about spoilers, this DLC's story is quite simple and I will be giving a basic setup for it. However, I won't be giving any specifics and will try to be as spoiler-free as possible. Because of that, I'm confident you can watch this video before playing the DLC. Revelations combat is almost exactly the same as the base game, with one big difference. The addition of the Chain Spear, which replaces the shield, completely changes the flow of combat. The spear can do everything the shield can do, specifically parrying projectiles, while also doing much more. The main difference between them is that instead of being able to block, the spear can be thrown and attached to enemies, similar to the meat hook from Eternal. On top of this, the dash move returns from Eternal, meaning that the Dark Ages is now almost just as movement-based as Eternal was. My issue with the spear is that while it can technically do every single thing the shield can do, it does fundamentally change the flow of combat in a way that I honestly didn't like. For example, the shield can be thrown large distances to either stun enemies or remove their glowing armor. The spear can be thrown like the shield, however, only a certain number of times. The spear has special abilities such as a throw, stab, and slam, which all consume a charge upon use. Charges can be built up from dodging attacks via the dash, along with various other ways via upgrades. So I have to keep track of a whole other bar of charges just to do the same thing my shield can already do? I didn't like the spear, and honestly, I didn't use it. I think the reason why, though, was because the game never gives you any reason to actually do so. The entire Dark Ages combat model was built around the shield, and because this is an expansion of that game, the base enemies and mechanics are literally exactly the same. Why would I learn this whole new system just to kill enemies just as good as I could with what I'm already using? I used the shield almost the entire DLC, and I never felt like I was doing anything badly or incorrectly. I actually think this was intentional, however. Revelations starts out with a normal mission fully without the spear, letting returning players get used to the shield again. The next level is then fully used with only the spear, letting players get used to the spear and forcing players to compare it directly to the shield. The very next level, the player gets the shield back and is able to freely switch between the two for the rest of the campaign. By taking away the shield and then giving it right back, the game is letting players use their experience using just the shield in the first level and just the spear in the second, and letting them decide which they like more. I think that's why the spear is such a success, because it gives players an option to change the Dark Ages combat to be more like Eternal if they want to. The game will never force you to pick between either in combat, and instead it entirely comes down to your own personal preference. Do you like the more movement-based Eternal combat or the traditional Dark Ages combat? I think this is the perfect compromise to those who didn't like the base game's combat, and the fact they went so far to actually do so, especially just for a DLC campaign, is really impressive. Because I just kept using the shield the entire time, Revelation's gameplay was essentially identical to the base game. Sure, there were some puzzles that required the spear, and there were a few new enemies, but beyond that, this was basically just 5 new levels for the base game. Thankfully, all of these levels are fantastic, with great combat encounters, pacing, and especially art direction, with some of the best looking visuals in the entire series. These levels, quality-wise, feel just as good as the main campaign, which is always a treat coming from a lower budget expansion. Revelations does move away from the Dark Ages' controversial open missions, which many felt were too big, had poor pacing, and just didn't feel like Doom. I personally liked the open missions, but I am glad that this shorter DLC campaign does go back to a more traditional linear style of level design. Despite that, these levels, of course, are still filled with secrets, with a new resource called Platinum, which is used to upgrade the spear. Since I didn't use the spear, I wasn't very engaged with these upgrades and new resource though. Thankfully, there's also suit upgrades which can be bought via the heart of special enemies, meaning that even those who don't use the spear can still be engaged with the DLC's progression. Everything here is just as good as the base game, with the added benefit that even more fans can enjoy the expansion because of the faster-paced spear combat. Unfortunately, however, Revelations also shares the Dark Ages' biggest issue, which is the story. The Dark Ages had the most emphasis on the story in a Doom game yet, with tons of cinematic cutscenes, fully voice-acted characters, and codex pages to read. And yet, none of it was really that good. The Dark Ages suffered from its story just not being very well told. It leaned way too heavily into its lore, meaning that unless you read all the codex pages and were fully up to date with the lore from previous games, you're not really gonna know what's going on. The Dark Ages also leans way too heavily into sci-fi buzzwords, because really, its plot is pretty simple. Doom Guy kills a bunch of demons. Revelations continues this trend of tons of cutscenes of things that I'm not entirely clear on what's happening. It's a real shame that they couldn't address the feedback on the story here in Revelations as well, because I know Doom games can have a good story if they want to. Revelations continues the plot from the end of the main campaign, where Doom Guy is trying to take down the Khan Maker. Unfortunately for him, he gets sent into purgatory and must get 3 stones to escape. It's a simple story, so Revelations injects story in by forcing Doom Guy to take a look into his past. After collecting each stone, he gets a vision of something from his past, culminating in a revelation about a mistake/bad thing that he did. These are the playable flashback scenes that are shown in the trailer, and I think this is actually a really great idea. We don't really know much about Doomguy as a character, so explaining who he is and why he is the way he is honestly a really great idea. Unfortunately, these flashback scenes add up to maybe 5 minutes total of playtime and really don't seem to have much impact on anything. These could have been a really great idea with maybe even a whole level dedicated to the flashbacks. For a lower budget DLC, I am glad it was included at all, but it does seem like kind of a missed opportunity to me. My favorite part of Revelation's story was how it connected to Doom 2016. The Dark Ages is a prequel to 2016, yet it didn't really do a great job of leading up to that game, seemingly saving most of that for the DLC. Now that the DLC is finally here, I'd say it does a pretty decent job at that. It explains how Doomguy got his suit from 2016, which is overall a pretty great moment and something the DLC leads up to the entire time. I do think it could have gone further though, as I was hoping it would show him getting put into the coffin he was taken out of at the start of that game. It's a small thing, but I usually like when prequels actually do lead into the game that they come before. Overall, Revelations is a pretty great expansion for the Dark Ages. It's successfully able to implement faster, Eternal-like combat for those who want it, while also still keeping the combat from the base game. On top of that, it's got 5 great levels with tons of secrets and a small progression system to keep you engaged. It does have a weak story like the base game, but it does a much better job at leading the story towards 2016. Revelations is a fantastic end to this modern Doom trilogy, and it makes me excited for what's to come in the future. The team at id did a really great job with this expansion and the game as a whole, so it's a real shame they got hit so hard with layoffs. Hopefully, Doom still does have a future, because this DLC still shows that the franchise is as fantastic as ever. I recommend Doom the Dark Ages Revelations, 8 out of 10. Well y'all, that's my review of Revelations. If you like this video, please make sure to like, comment, or even subscribe. Please also make sure to check out my TikTok at goodusername011. That's all I have for today, but I do want to take the last few moments to talk about me and my channel. Alright y'all, so I want to try and keep this a little shorter today. So this was a short video, and this probably will be my shortest ever video, depending on how short I keep this, but yeah, so I don't know, I just didn't have much to say about this DLC. Like I said, I was kind of like thinking of it like this is literally just a map pack, right? Like, it's a great DLC, but since I didn't play the end game, like I couldn't talk about it, so yeah, but you know, I didn't want to like stretch out the video any more than I had to, because like what's the point? Like, this is a DLC. I'm not gonna talk about the like combat and how it works and all that, you know what I mean? So yeah, but I don't know, like I decided to make a video on it anyway, because this will probably be about 10 minutes, so you know, this is still like a good size video, but I don't know, it's just short. So yeah, next thing is that at this current point in time, my Halo video, my previous video, is my 3rd highest viewed video. But unfortunately, that game is controversial, and so I've been getting people who are saying things in my comments that I don't agree with, and it's annoying. So I've gotten like comments that are like, I hate how this series isn't about Master Chief anymore. And, why did Halo Studios fire all the men that work there? And like, don't watch this video. That's so fucking stupid. Like, I'm gonna be honest, bro. Like, if you're gonna be like that, if you're not even gonna watch my video and you're not gonna just take the game for what it is and just like shit on a game just because you don't like it, get away from my channel. That's not what I want. I want to talk with people who have intelligent discussions about games. Like, at least try to. You know what I mean? So, I don't know. That's annoyed me, but I just want to say that it's like, I don't know. That's something on my mind. So yeah. Next video will hopefully be my Black Flag remake. Oh wait, no. Might be the Mafia 4 DLC. I have started Black Flag and I'm like, I don't know. I think I'm just starting Sequence 4. So I don't know how long that'll take me. I mean, this video came out pretty quick. So I don't know. Maybe I can get it out quick. By the way, turnaround time in this video, great, right? Like, I'm so happy about it. But it is so short, so yeah. But yeah, we'll see. I don't know what'll happen next. It'll either be Mafia or Black Flag. So, yeah, that's all I have to say. You guys, like, want to keep it brief. So, yeah, thanks for watching, y'all. Bye!